Lover, I miss you so much. I can sense in my insides that you are alive and out there somewhere. You must be very scared.
What the people of
this country need is jobs, not handouts.
I'm trying to get just a little further down the road.
Oh,
I know you have to do whatever it takes to survive, but I think there is another way. One that doesn't end human lives.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna have to start assimilating sooner rather than later.
What happened to your uncle?
Together, we escaped our dying planet.
Around goes the circle.
We found each other before, and I know we will find each other again.
Adam Shartoff,
Zach Clark.
how's it going, buddy?
Wow. It's been a minute. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
How have you been, man? It's
Not bad.
been a really long time.
Hanging in there.
That's good.
Where are you?
Well, I can't disclose that.
Okay.
I'm in a podcast witness protection.
Sure. You're in a bunker. You're in a pod bunker.
Pod bunker. I guess I'll make an exception. I'm in the Hudson Valley.
Yep. I just meant like what time zone? You know what I mean? You know.
I'm in New York. Yeah.
Time zone.
I'm up by I live by right across the road from Hudson, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I work near Bard, that area, Bard College.
Gotcha,
I'm just giving you places maybe so you know where.
Sure.
In the other Red Hook.
Yep.
Where are you?
I'm still in Brooklyn.
Perfect. That's good to know. I just looked and I thought you were on a few times, like early on in the early days of the podcast.
I don't think I've ever been. I don't think.
No, you have.
I have.
Yeah, I can even remember the day because we were in Fort Greene. I don't remember where, but I remember it was you, me, and Anna Margaret.
Oh yeah.
And
it's all coming back to me, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember the day I had, and that was 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, there you are. So I was now I probably seen you since then because I think White Reindeer came. Is that the one that maybe came out since? Was that the last one?
Anna Margaret was in White Reindeer. So that's 2013. Little Sister is 2016.
Little Sister, yeah. So I was at, and that premiered where?
South by Southwest.
That's what I remember, and I saw it there. So I did that. That was probably the last time I saw you. I don't know. Anyway, It's good to see you now, even if through here.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. And also that was the last thing you directed. I mean, you kind of sort of said that, but
sure.
But it's been a minute, and it's how does it feel to have and by the way, we'll just like ease into
totally
the thing.
Yeah.
How does it feel to finally be back on the directorial roller coaster, or whatever you want to call it?
It feels fine.
Yeah.
It feels fine. I mean, this was like, if you had told me 8 years ago that the next movie I made would be made for the same budget as the last one. You know, I
Wow.
probably would have made a few more movies since then. I tried to, I spent a long time trying to make some more expensive movies, right? Uh, and then was sort of on the verge of having one of them happen, was at least the furthest along I had gotten with it. And then COVID hit and it sort
Oh,
of
yeah.
wiped, it sort of threw that project for a loop because it, starred an older actor.
Oh, yeah.
And we just couldn't make that kind of a movie. And then when the dust settled, it was hard to get it going again.
I get it.
And then this opportunity came along in like the middle, not even a year into COVID. It was February in 2021, when Joe Swanberg and Eddie Linker reached out to me and asked me if I had ideas for low budget genre movies that we could shoot in Chicago, which is the seed of this project.
So, okay, because they have a production company.
Yeah.
And they're just looking for projects. And so they reached out to friends to sort of, right?
Well, yeah, they specifically wanted genre movies.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, they just said, if you have ideas for genre movies that we can shoot for X budget in X number of days, let us know. And this is just the idea that I came up with to sort of fit that box that they gave me.
So they came to you, and then you came up with the idea, or it was something that had already been percolating?
No. I came up with the idea. Basically, when Joe reached out to me and said, "Do you have ideas?" I said, "No, not right now."
And he continued. So he's probably talking to a few people.
Well,
right?
Yeah. And then it was I was doing nothing. It was February 2021. I was doing literally nothing. I was waking up and looking at the news and going to bed. That was my life.
Yeah.
So I figured after I said no, I don't have any ideas, but I'll let you know if I come up with any. A few days later, I was like, what else am I doing?
Yeah.
Right now, I might as well come up with an idea.
You got
for
practical.
This.
You became somewhat practical about it.
Yeah. And I had read the book Invasion of the Body Snatchers a few years before that. It's the disparate ideas were all sort of, the tangential sort of nodes in the proverbial mental wilderness were all out there.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been like, oh, I would love to do a body snatcher movie. Here's how I would do it. It's about COVID. That I didn't have. That sort of was figured out that week,
Was the Invasion of the Body Snatchers a novel or a short story? Or?
It was a novel. Yeah. It's a good
When was it?
A good book.
Was it written? It must have been written in the 50s or something.
Yeah. It's written not long
before the first
movie.
Kevin McCarthy film.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, interesting. What made you want to read it? Just
curious. I think this sort of very, the sort of core body snatcher idea. I had that idea sitting somewhere. It's a movie about body snatching aliens, but you're following the alien.
The film is called
that I'd sort of have. Yeah, that I sort of had previously.
The movie is called The Becomers, and it's directed and written, I guess, by Zach Clark. And I just want to mention this I should have mentioned this already, but it opens August 23rd in New York City and August 30th in LA. Theatrically? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be at a Laemmle, I'm guessing.
It is going to be at the Lumiere Theater in Los Angeles.
I stand corrected. Where in New York?
It's opening at Cinema Village.
Oh, nice.
And playing there for a week. But then if you live in New York City, we have some shows at Spectacle coming up, and we have a show at the Roxy and a show at Nighthawk, all coming up in September. And our composer, Fritz Myers, is going to be doing a sort of like experimental ambient performance before the shows that I do Q&As at.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's nice. And then it will be on demand on September 24th, my birthday.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just I thought I'd mention.
happy birthday to you. You get to
Not
rent
this
this
one.
movie on transactional VOD.
That'll be a nice gift to pay to watch your movie again.
Yes.
I was excited. I remember 11 years ago or something, or and just being in Brooklyn and the community of people. Well, it's also nice I was going to say it was really nice what was happening at that time, and that, like that just sort of happens in different places at different times if one is lucky, where you have a community of people who are supporting one another and inspiring one another, right? And working, just doing, and it was going on, and I kind of like that was where the birth of this podcast came from. But also now I see also a link over to Chicago and a few other Austin, of course, to some degree, maybe Los Angeles, right? Is that still something that exists?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure, of course. I mean, like anything, people cycle out and people cycle in, but there is certainly still cool, exciting work being done for not a lot of money outside of the traditional film financing and production avenues. I really love the work of Kit Sauhar, who made this Closeness. And I also really love Grace Lewicki's film Tito,
Hmm.
and the stuff that Pito's is doing with like Jessica and Love and Work. You know, yeah,
I
no,
got,
there's still people. So you go to these
oh, I
things, you
know
meet people,
that.
they're doing cool stuff.
No, cool stuff is being made for sure, and I see a lot of it myself. But I'm just like I was wondering if that particular, I just remember that particular time. Of course, maybe everything was just a little cheaper then. I don't even, what I mean? It was maybe it's just a way of memory works,
I mean, they
where
certainly it was 10 years ago. Things certainly were cheaper. You know,
yeah.
they just were. But yeah, I don't know. I think when you are in your late 20s, early 30s, as most of us were around that time, and there's a sort of like-minded group, I think it feels like that. I think it probably feels like that for the people who are in their late 20s, early 30s doing it
Mhm.
now, you
Sure,
know?
that's true, right? And would just to pivot back to the Becomers for a
Hmm.
moment. Uh, is that I know, the one actor I'm familiar with who has also has been on the podcast and was a couple of times early on is Frank
Hmm.
V. Ross. So is this cast mostly a Chicago-based cast? Because
Yeah,
obviously,
it's all, yeah. So part of the package, the
hmm,
box I was given to work within,
I see.
was, like I said, X budget and X number of shooting days. And we certainly spent more than X budget and shot for more than X days. But
Right, right.
um, I was able to bring in Daryl Pittman, who's been the cinematographer on everything I've ever done,
Okay.
and some camera boys who we love very much that have also worked on my other stuff. But everyone else was Chicago based.
Hmm.
Cast, crew, everybody else was in Chicago.
Hmm.
Um, so I had never met Frank before. He
Oh,
worked
you
on this
hadn't?
movie. Yeah, Joe suggested him as an actor. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, Frank's a really good actor. I've seen him work and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
sent him the script and he said, I want to do it. And, he was great.
Oh,
He was great.
inter interesting. It's funny. You hadn't met him even socially?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Frank and I had ever met each other.
Did you have a background with Joe?
Sure. Well, Joe's company Forager put up most of the money for Little Sister.
Hmm.
And Joe is also in White Reindeer.
Hmm.
He's the
Oh,
husband
right,
in
of course.
the neighbor couple. So I had known Joe um really as long as I'd been showing movies on the festival circuit, 15 years ago.
And is has The Becomers been on the festival circuit?
Yeah,
I see.
this is the end of it, right?
Right,
It's
of
coming
course.
out
Sure, sure.
theatrically.
But it's as a genre, is it hit the several genre festivals
I
or?
mean, well, it premiered at Fantasia last
Mhm.
year.
Oh, that's perfect.
That was our world premiere. But I think going in would have thought that it would have had a more fruitful genre festival run than it ended up doing. There
Hmm.
are quite a few prominent genre film festivals that said no thank you to this movie.
Hmm.
Um, which yeah, I don't know. I think I discovered that a lot of people who come to a genre movie with certain expectations aren't necessarily satisfied by this movie.
Hmm. I wonder why that might be. But
I just don't think it like, in my mind, I'm checking all the boxes, but I'm checking the boxes in like the service of other things. Does that make sense?
hmm, hmm, yeah,
Um, I've said this a few times in some other interviews, so I hate to soundbite you right
that's okay.
now.
Well, now that you've said that, you've kind of given yourself a disclaimer, so it's
But
fine.
uh but
Fine.
uh but this is a science fiction movie to me in the way that White Reindeer is a Christmas movie. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, in the Zach Clark universe.
Sure. Yeah. So it's not it's just a like any other movie I've made on a certain level. This one just happens to be a science fiction movie.
Right, I get it. Right. And is there possible for you to or because I don't believe you have done this, but just to be a director for hire?
Um, it's not an avenue I have ever pursued. I am like an editor by trade. That's how I make
Hmm.
my money,
Right.
That's how
Yeah, sure.
I pay my rent. And that has like always been the
I get it.
reliable way that uh, that's just how I've existed on a work level.
Hmm.
Um, no one, I will say the counter to that is nobody has ever asked me to direct
Okay.
anything that I haven't
But
written.
right.
I think if someone did and I responded to the material, I'm not saying that that's a thing I would never ever do. I have never decided to pursue it for myself. Nobody has ever asked it of me. Production for me is all consuming and very draining emotionally and physically and spiritually,
Hmm. Hmm.
So the thought of entering into it on a sort of like revolving door, this is just what I do with my daily life most of the time basis
Yes. Right.
is a little daunting. Post is like very civil. I work normal hours.
Yeah.
It's mostly just me in this apartment and a
Is it?
computer,
I was going to ask you. Yeah, I was going to ask you if I'm sure there's some exceptions where you're brought to a editing unit or
I mean,
something.
pre-COVID, certainly there were a
Or
lot that
oh,
happened a lot more. I'd be on set editing along with people, and
right.
since COVID, it's all been almost entirely remote, all my featured jobs.
Another cat makes its
Oh, yep,
appearance
yep,
on the
yep.
podcast
I
for
have
those
two. I
lists.
have two. I have two.
Oh, so yeah. Are you? Is it? It's you and the two cats.
It's me and the two cats. This is Mink, and Oliver is around here somewhere.
Well, we have where I am. We have a cat and a dog, and
Oh, great.
dog was behind there, but not anymore on the bed. But uh, okay, because I was wondering. So how do you get most of your or do you get most of your editing gigs through word of mouth?
Yeah, pretty much. You
Yeah.
know, nothing is my first rodeo at this point. Unless I went to an actual rodeo, which I've never been to, you know.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this long enough and know enough people that stuff tends to come my way, or the flip side is sometimes I'll hear that someone's making a movie whose work I've liked and I'll reach out. So I edited Calvin Lee Reeder's new movie
Oh, great.
that
Yeah, yeah.
premiered at Tribeca this year. And that was, I just heard Calvin was making a movie, and I really love Calvin's work. So
What's
I
that one
reached out and
called?
said, it's called The A-Frame.
Okay. As in like a house?
Well, there is a house called, yeah, that is a kind of a house, but
Right.
that's not what
Oh,
the title
okay.
refers to in the context of the movie.
Got it. Well, and then so you worked with Calvin, and is there any other projects that are recent this year, or coming out?
That is the most recent thing that my name is on as an
Hmm.
editor that has been released into the wild. I cut my friend Caroline Gollum's movie, which is a micro budget movie set in the Middle Ages. That should be out and about
Wow.
next year. I'm working on another tiny little movie right now that I'm excited about as an editor that also should be out and about next year. And then this year I've been editing a documentary for the first time.
Oh, nice.
So that's been fun. Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
fun to
that's
sort of like try different
it's
stuff,
right, and expand your palette, as it were, right, and sort of use other maybe some other muscle sets,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah.
Yeah. What's that one about, if I can ask?
Satanism,
Okay. Sure.
Satan worship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Where's that? That's uh who's the
That's what
director of that?
I don't know how expansive I should be on that one. I don't know how much I should divulge for
Oh,
that
I
because
see.
it's in the very early nascent stages. So
Got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're still sort of figuring out what the shape of that project is like.
Interesting. Well, that sounds
But
exciting to have
yeah,
the,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and the Becomers. What more can you tell me about this film?
What do you want to know? I'll tell you literally anything. If you ask me a question, I will honestly answer it for you.
Well, how much at this stage, beyond doing interviews, can you do to promote it? You'll be at, I suppose. I mean, the biggest challenge, of course, is right getting people to be aware of your film.
Sure. Though I will say that on this one, at this point in the project, I am just like happy to be here, and I'm happy that it is coming out in a way that feels real,
Yeah, yeah.
which not all these movies get the, luxury of doing. So, we're the extent of it really is these sort of Q&As in New York that have a live performance before them. Um, I am looking forward to like it finding its audience, which again, because of our sort of limited festival
Mhm.
run, not a lot of people have seen this movie yet.
Mhm.
So I'm excited for it to get out there. But it's been 3 years since we shot it at this
Oh,
point.
okay. Right.
We shot it in sort of the spring of 21. Um, so I'm also just at a point where I'm like happy to move on,
I understand, of course.
and
Yes,
not, and I don't even say that negatively. It's just like, sometimes you gotta push the baby bird out of the nest.
absolutely. And why wasn't there a Chicago theatrical, unless there was, and I maybe
Oh,
it's already.
it's opening on
Oh,
the 13th
oh,
of September at the Music Box Theater for a week.
oh. Well, as rightfully there should be a theatrical there. I guess they just figure that I don't know, if you're in New York, you don't really need to or care about theatricals in other places other than New York City and LA. I don't know, but
Well, no,
that's
we wanted to do New York, LA, and Chicago.
that makes perfect sense.
We'll sell out shows in Chicago. That's where everyone who
Of
made the movie
course,
lives.
exactly. No, absolutely. Everybody, all the friends, family, word of mouth, and everything, and it's a hometown film.
But yeah, yeah. So yeah, theatrical
Are
in
you going to go out there
Chicago.
for that?
I am, yeah. So I'll be there
Good.
that Friday and Saturday, the
What day
13th
is
and
that again? You
14th.
may have mentioned it.
The 13th and 14th is when I'll be there doing Q&As, and
September.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Well, again, the name of the film is The Becomers, and it's written and directed by Zach Clark. And how many features does this make now? 4 or 5? How many?
This is my fifth.
It is fun.
feature. Sixth, if you check my IMDb. Uh,
There's one that's only on IMDb. Is that why?
well, there's an early one before, there's one
That
I
was never
made like,
properly distributed.
no, gosh,
Right.
no. I mean, technically Modern Love was never properly distributed, but I still count that as a movie I made.
Well, yeah. Well, sure. Modern Love is Automatic. I remember seeing that one. Vacation, White Reindeer,
Hmm.
Little Sister. Now they become. It's a you've got a what would you call? Like you've got
An oeuvre.
an oeuvre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thanks,
great.
thank yeah,
And I'm
sure.
sure
Yeah.
there'll be a sixth and a seventh.
Yeah, God willing.
And Joe,
Usually when a movie comes out and it is at least well received,
right.
I usually say that it just means I'll try and
I'll
do it
make
at least one more time,
right. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, the big challenge then is when it doesn't and it isn't,
Sure.
and then to motivate yourself still, but and not to give up.
Yeah, though we'll see. I mean, I don't feel, again, this is my fifth one of these things. I don't at this point feel like I haven't done it. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah, sure, of course. But
So
maybe it's not your driving.
sure.
Right.
And this one was hard. It was really hard making this movie, for the amount of money we made it for. So, you know, again, I'm in the zone right now where people are telling me that they
Sure.
like it,
Good.
and are saying
So
saying the things about it.
And your first film, by the way, came out like in 2009. I mean, I'm sure you
yeah,
started it a couple of years earlier than that, but it
sure,
hasn't.
yeah,
But you've made a half a dozen or five films, you said,
yeah,
in reasonable amount of time. You're not actually
sure,
doing that badly in terms of timing and everything. It's
sure.
not like there's some documentary filmmakers that do take like 10 years between projects.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately, I watch a lot of movies. I came to movies from watching movies. And in the grand scheme of things, if I like the work of a filmmaker, I'm never like, well, but why didn't they make a movie in these 5 years?
No.
I'm just like, I liked that movie, and then and then I liked this other movie.
Right.
Eventually, they all just become movies, and the time between them
is
in the
not
grand scheme of things
isn't
sort of yeah.
it's not very important at all. And then also if you really appreciate a filmmaker, you even you're much more forgiving. Like they don't all
Sure.
have to be you know big splashy critically acclaimed films. They can also just sort of be what they are.
Sure.
One perhaps somewhat flawed, one an attempt maybe that didn't succeed, let's say completely,
Sure. Yeah,
but it was
counterpoint. They could all be like that.
Yeah,
Your entire filmography could be like that.
that's kind of true. Uh right.
None of them could be splashy. They could all be a little flawed.
As they mostly are.
Sure. Well, you use the means available to you at the time.
Well, I'm going to urge people to go out and support your film, and whether you're in New York, LA, or Chicago, and I'm going to help get the word out as much as I can.
Thanks, Alan.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to reconnect, and I hope we
likewise.
don't hope maybe I mean, look, you can come on again for another film that you worked on. It doesn't have to be necessarily something you've directed too.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, they're trickling out. It's certainly the pace of things has slowed down since COVID.
Right. Yeah.
The churn isn't quite there anymore. But
Yeah.
you should check out Calvin's movie. I'm really proud of it.
I will. I absolutely will. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make a note to myself, not so I don't forget. All right. Well, I'll let you get back to it.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. Good.
Nice to see
you. Nice to see a friendly face.
Thank you. Same here. Yeah. And if you make your way up here, please let me know.
I will. I will.
It's like really, it is like paradise up here. It's like, it took me a long time. We keep bringing COVID up because it affects just about everything. And still, and then, it really was like for a lot of other people, a moment where I had an option to do it, to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was the greatest thing I ever, it was a great decision.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds amazing. I'm very happy for you.
And hey, I'm only less than 2 hours from Brooklyn,
Yeah. 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 No, it's not bad at all. It's not
No.
bad at all.
All right, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Good to see you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
See you soon, I hope.
Me too. Me too.
All right. Bye.
All right. All right. But bye.